And we've got some other people joining in. So I think we can go ahead and get started. Obviously, I am going to be leading the meeting today since Ross is not quite back up to 100%. But on the flip side, he can chat. So he will definitely be involved in the meeting. We had originally hoped to show a demo of Master Chat, and we almost got there. It's just not quite in the staging environment yet to where we can show a demo. Hopefully we will be able to, or we should be able to do that next week, actually. So definitely jump on those office hours. In the meantime, I want to kind of go over our roadmap and what we have that is what we're working on basically. So a lot of things actually in the pipe, and that is actually why we were delayed in getting the demo for Master Chats, because we have so many things going out. It's like trying to fit all these things into a small release pipe. One of those things obviously is Master Chat. It's an early MVP of that. And if you're wondering what that is, remember that's the ChatGPT like interface that allows your customers to kind of log in and they'll see an interface very similar in many ways to ChatGPT, where they can interact with the agents you have created for them. So we're working heavily on that. At the same time, we have Leads 2.0 is what we've kind of called it coming out. That is a new way to look at the conversation using AI and to extract data points from the conversation. The great thing about this approach is that it will work on incomplete conversations as well, right? So because it uses the power or the intelligence of AI to look at the conversation, regardless of what stage it got to, it will be able to extract names, phone numbers, whatever is available within that conversation. And we think that overall, it's going to be much more reliable for the lead generation use case than the function-based approach that we adopted originally. So that should be coming out shortly. We are also already working heavily on voice. So we're in the early stages of trying to decide which voice provider we go with, because we have to balance two primary things, right? We have to balance cost and then the actual user experience. And it's possible in the end we may go with multiple providers. So you may have some use cases for voice that are more expensive, but that use case can support it and needs it. Whereas there may be other things, like maybe appointment confirmations, stuff like that, where you can go with an AI agent that's cheaper for that use case because the lead, the ultimate value of that lead is less, but you don't mind as much the quality or the response times of that AI. But yes, we're looking into that. Voice is going to be a big focus of ours once Master Chat is kind of out. That's going to be our primary focus, cleaning up Master Chat, getting voice out. We also, of course, like we said last week, we released a live chat. Feedback has started to come back on that. We are making improvements to it, making some minor fixes for little things that we've noticed. So keep that feedback for live chat coming. Ross, is there anything else I'm forgetting that we're releasing soon? I feel like there's like 3 things I'm forgetting.
We're working on the alternative models. So we'll have
Yes.
Anthropic with Claude and Grok, and Grok 3 just got released last night. So as soon as that's going to be available as an API, we'll get that one out there too.
Yeah, exactly. And people are going crazy right now for Grok 3. It's hard to separate what the reality is, but it's clear that maybe it could be a model that competes with the existing models. And luckily, it should be easy enough for us to add in theory. Oh, yes. Thank you, Drew. It should be easy enough for us to add because Grok, they've taken the smart approach, the X AI, they've taken the smart approach of mimicking the OpenAI API almost completely. So we're working on that. And of course, Claude, like Ross mentioned, we're really excited to get out because we all use Claude so much, really more for coding tasks, but we do use it a lot. We also are doing a ton of interface updates. So we're updating our interface to look more modern and to match some of the experiences that you see in other AI applications. And I don't want to get too technical, but as a part of that, you're going to notice less page refreshes. We're doing more things within using basically modern JavaScript, right, in order to not have to refresh the page and be able to pull things more dynamically. So stay tuned for that. You may notice it already in some key parts of the application, but we're going to continue to be improving that as we go along.
That will come in
Oh,
like
good.
phases. So as we release
Exactly.
new things. Everything new that is going to be released will be designed with uh, our new UI parameters. And then over the course of the next couple months, we'll be individually updating a lot of these separate sections to then match that UI. So it feels less like a developer designed it and more like a designer designed it.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing we're working on getting out is actually rate limiting. So the ability for you to rate limit the chatbots to define a certain number of responses that you'll allow before you send kind of a generic message and cut that user off. We're doing this to prevent kind of spamming of the chatbots, and we'll continue to improve this feature as we go along, possibly giving the ability to, prevent certain IP addresses from accessing the chatbot, stuff like that. So continue to keep that feedback coming. But I think that's it right now as far as new features. Anything else you can think of, Ross, that I've forgotten, Drew?
Analytics too. We're gonna have a
Oh,
fully
yes.
redesigned analytics tab slash interface that will be more graphical, and it'll look nice and pretty, and it will allow you to export nice looking graphs that are in your theme and branding. So that way you can easily send your clients um, updates and, here's how many dollars and minutes we saved you and all these things. So that'll be a
Yeah.
cool thing to add too.
And relatedly, we want you to be able to look into the dashboard and instantly see, okay, this agent is costing me this much. Here's how much on average I'm spending, whether it's, by leveraging our API keys or your own. So yes, analytics is going to be a huge thing that we're already focusing on. I think though, what I want to do, we have a small group today. We didn't promote this office hours as much as you would usually try to do, but since we do have a small group, I think I kind of want to open it up to the floor. And my key question right now for you guys is, what is the most important feature, functionality, bug fix? What's the one thing you want to see changed ASAP? And I think I'll just start calling on people. Lucas, do you have anything what's your one thing that you would most like to see changed or improved?
I'm not sure there's any changes I'm longing for. The live chat is gonna be no, sorry, live chat. The call, the feature, voice feature will be a big thing, definitely. I'm yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I cannot say that there's any fixes, anything like that. The improvements are
We
all on point. So
we also have with Master Chat, we completely updated and redid the marketplace as well, which I think that's something to mention. Um,
Yes.
so the marketplace right now is essentially a templates area, but we always envisioned it to be a true marketplace where you could buy and sell AI agents, not only from us, but to your clients as well. So that functionality is all completed and done and will be released alongside Master Chat. And what that will allow you to do is create AI agents and be able to show them to your users via public or private links and be able to charge money for them. And the cool thing about this is if you update a bot in your agency level account, you'll be able to push updates to the clients who have purchased that bot, which has been something that people have been asking for. So there's a whole interface that we'll demo, and that's partly what Tim was mentioning earlier. But that will be very useful for those of us that are upselling additional AI agents, which a lot of the agencies that are going to be using Master Chat have said from the beginning of, and this is kind of how we designed it, was you could sell a customer support bot, but then on the back end, sell them an AI agent that could help write emails for their company. And now you could do that without having to send them extra invoices or anything. It's just all handled in their account.
So we're looking forward to that. Kasoon, I know last time on the last office hours you had an issue. Was that fully resolved?
I'm sorry. issue with, I thought it was resolved, but was it the
Perfect.
scraping?
I don't remember actually,
Oh,
but I
okay,
just
yeah.
remember I remember you bringing up an issue, and I just wanted to make sure it was fully resolved.
Yeah, that
Relatedly,
me.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, based on what I understood is that if there were no changes on the website, then the 24-hour scraping didn't kick off.
Mm.
So, you know, I was assuming that it automatically did. So I think that's what it says, but I get it. If there's nothing new, then there's no update.
Yes, definitely check on that, because the way the behavior should be is that it will attempt to rescrape every 24 hours, but if it finds no difference at all between the pages, then it might not update the content essentially.
Mm-hmm. I got a
So,
question about the pricing of the new, what are we calling it? Those new agents that could be designed and made available. I think Ross, you were just speaking to that. What is the suggested pricing on those? I see them a lot on different websites.
I think it really depends on what use case you're gonna push it for. Comparably, other things that I've seen on other quote unquote AI agent marketplaces will usually price these between like 59 or 99 a month.
Mm-hmm.
But these are all like additional add-ons to existing functionality. So for example, like the ability to sell a custom GPT essentially, and how people
Mm-hmm.
are doing that currently with things like Gumroad or manually creating payments. Some are, sub $100, but I've seen some that are in the $300 range. So I think it really depends on what you're adding to that bot or that AI agent.
Personally, I'm looking forward, Tim, to the voice component. And I don't even know how to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You guys, your head must be spinning how fast everything is moving. And sometimes I wonder, with GHL, don't they have a voice component? Is that a competition for you, or?
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely a competitor, but they're also, it's kind of weird because they're also like an ally and integration partner with us, because
Right.
so many of our agencies use GHL. The feedback that we've typically gotten, and I see this when I use certain features in GHL myself, they are doing even more than we are doing on so many different fronts, which doesn't necessarily allow them to close the feedback loops that they're getting from their customers as quickly as we're able to. So for example, in the past, when a customer comes to us with, an idea or a use case, we can build that functionality and release that and get that feedback from that customer extremely quickly, sometimes within days. With GHL, they're still working on releasing like the full functionality of their inbound side of voice.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I kind of look at it is agencies, and we tell this to, and I know Drew tells this to people all the time, like, please go ahead and like try all these different platforms and see where they fail. And when we basically have another meeting with those people, they're like, oh yeah, we tried it. It doesn't work as well. And we're gonna stick with you guys.
Yeah, that's good to know. Drew knows that one of the reasons why I'm here is because I came assuming that you already had the voice component, because that's what I really want. It's kind of easier to sell that.
Yep.
So
Do you have a like a specific use case that you think would be easier for you to sell over and over with Flow?
I am surrounded by doctors' offices here.
Okay. Okay.
So that was my target. You know, I even have family members in the medical field that it would be easy for me to have them even spread the word for me. So I thought, yeah, so I was looking for that component.
and
then
and so do we. What specific use case within the medical field were you thinking of targeting initially?
Like, let's say a dental office that needs to provide 24/7 customer support. Do you take my insurance? You know, some of the common questions.
Oh, that would be easy. Yeah.
Yeah, making a phone call after hours. I've got a couple of issues, with my child. Do I need to take them to the emergency room? Anything.
Yeah.
Just, the immediacy of questions being answered is kind of what a lot of customers are looking for in the AI age, even though we don't have full adoption, but it's an easier sell, I thought.
Yeah.
Or maybe just for me personally.
Absolutely. The only issue, because so my wife essentially is a dentist also, the only issue we've encountered is just HIPAA situations with the AI models. But as long as you do not collect privileged health information and prevent the AI from doing that, and then it should be fine. And also, we need to do more research into OpenAI's agreements, because if we're able to sign a BAA with them and guarantee that any information collected by the agent during the time of the call is deleted and gone and essentially not really collected, then we're good. Or if we have a secure system to store it in, that we have a BAA in place, then we might be fine. But I completely agree with you that that is a great area to target for this kind of thing, because dentists right now are paying not as much as you might think, but just for an answering service, they can pay easily hundreds a month for that answering service. And it's not a great service, to be honest. And I'm actually not even sure how some of these services are HIPAA compliant in themselves, because it's humans taking the calls and they'll relay information sometimes to her that I'm like, how did they collect that? Anyway, yeah, that AI would be much better for a lot of these use cases. Even just putting an AI in front of the initial call for the office, because people are calling in all the time with simple questions, and the office has to pick up the phone and take those and answer those. It takes time to do that.
So most of those examples that you mentioned were inbound examples, so like people calling into the AI agent. Do you have any use cases in mind for the other side, like where the AI is actively calling a person?
The only one I can think of is just a reminder.
Yeah.
About an upcoming appointment. Do you need to reschedule or stuff like that? The normal stuff that I think they're trying to do with text and all that good stuff. But
yeah, and those are incredibly important for the practice, right? Because if you can remind patients about the appointment, get it confirmed that they're actually coming in, it allows you to schedule better and have an anticipation of your true kind of patient volume. So even though it seems like a simple use case, it's incredibly valuable to the practice. And we're paying like $600 a month or more for a tool right now that does something similar without AI.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be huge.
Do you think?
I agree. There's also one thing that a lot of customers don't care for, because if you miss an appointment, they actually charge you.
Yeah, it's controversial. Yeah.
Yeah. So upfront reminder and a reschedule is kind of really customer friendly.
So with the inbound side, do you think you'd be able to start selling like just with the inbound side to get started?
That's a good question. How would I do that?
I think it would
Once
be
we had it.
it would be the initial sales pitch would be basically just what you said at the start, which is 24/7 support. Anytime someone calls in, they can get their questions in. Like all of those use cases would be the initial sales pitch.
That's correct, but you're saying you don't have that component ready yet.
Yes.
Okay.
The way that, yeah, sorry. The reason I asked that question is to figure out if we needed to also release outbound at the same time that we release inbound in order for you to sell it. Yeah.
I think there's more benefit to the inbound. Yeah, I feel because the dental office would have to pay, and then they're also outsourcing this to what do you call it? Answering service that they're not multilingual, so those are easy.
Yeah.
To kind of sell.
Makes complete sense.
Change their model,
Perfect.
I'd also add that I don't think that the outbound is in any rush. The inbound is even more important than that in my mind, and possible use cases that I have on the horizon. There's actually no need for outbound in those few cases. Not saying that not overall, obviously not, but yeah, the inbound is the thing I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, agree.
Nice. So this is kind of an early mock-up. Yeah. So this will be an early mock-up that allows you to integrate or purchase phone numbers. And then you can update the different sides of the phone number with a
Hmm.
different prompt, and then optimize all the call settings based off of what we can update with Twilio, and then be able to extract data and answers, summaries, like all of the information that we typically have existing. We're going to build on top of that with this idea of being able to summarize the calls. And then quickly for the outbound side, there'll be the ability to add multiple scenarios. So in the example that you want to do one where it follows up after someone books a meeting, you can make that have a specific prompt. And the cool thing is all of these will be dynamic. So for example, like when the trigger comes in GHL, that contains the information of a user, like their name and their phone number, that information can be input into the prompt dynamically. So it uses that information every time.
Can you clarify a little? What did you mean by come through GHL? I have a lot of questions right here.
Yeah, so the way that we need to know how to trigger a phone call that goes outbound
Hmm.
is kind of a large question. So the way that we're initially thinking about designing this is through utilizing webhooks, which is one of the ways that we've done other parts of the platform with custom actions.
REI, like that whole REI scenario.
Can you
Real
clarify?
estate investing. That I'm trying to set that up right now. That's why I'm asking.
Got it. So let's say an investor gets a new lead, or they opt in, let's say.
Hmm.
So that opt-in, maybe they filled out a form on a website. So that form would contain their name and their phone number and maybe like some other information about them. That information can then be sent to this webhook URL, which would be white labeled to you and your agency or your business.
Hmm.
So the Stammer system will be able to read all of the data that comes from your CRM. And that could be GHL, that could be Notion, it could be anything. Once the system has this information, it will then use this information to satisfy this outbound scenario where you have a prompt that says, hey, you are a real estate investor, sales representative following up with new leads. You need to ask them these questions or qualify them in this certain way, depending on whatever use case that real estate investor wants to do.
Okay.
That information, instead of saying, hey, customer name, this is so-and-so, it would say, hey, Timothy, this is so-and-so. I saw that you just answered these questions on the form because it has access to all this information. And so this is going to change dynamically for every user that opts in after this is set up. So you set this up once, and then it continues to work dynamically for each different user. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's kind of the genesis of this, and the cool thing is you'll be able to make different scenarios for different reasons. So if another example could be instead of a sales follow-up, it could be or a new lead opt-in. Let's say they book a meeting, and that could be a good, here's a call reminder. And because that would need a different prompt and a different flow and potentially a different example conversation, etc. So it's still coming from the same phone number.
When you asked the question about inbound versus outbound, were you thinking of separating the two, or were you focused more on the inbound scenarios?
So I look at it as like there's two sides of a coin here, where there's the ability for the phone number to receive calls and make calls. And based off of our feedback from customers, and you pretty much confirmed it, is the value that you guys see is more in the receiving calls, the inbound side.
Hmm.
So in terms of us being able to quickly develop this and get this out for you guys, it would be easier for us to release this with just inbound and all this functionality, and get that out, get your guys' start getting your feedback on it while we then continue to build out Outbound.
Right. And then my final question is about the phone number. So if a dental office has their own phone number,
Yeah.
would a client or a customer be making a phone call to that number, and then we link it to the other number that would have the AI agent component? I don't even know how to ask that question.
Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be in relation to some of these transfer settings here. I don't have a full answer to that, but the idea is to make it as easy as possible for a business that has an existing phone number to integrate with this system, or if they don't have one, you can get one for them.
Right.
And
I do have an answer actually. So Ross, Twilio has a capability to send a call and make it appear that it's from another number. So it would just need to be set up for that number.
oh, interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we can, and we'll investigate this with Twilio to figure out exactly how to do it, because I haven't done it yet for the dental office. But yes, we are looking for the ability for them to maintain their existing number, and we impersonate, for lack of a better word, that number.
Yeah, and the cool thing is we are kind of like developing this for Tim's wife's dentist office, which, like he said, they're already paying for stuff. So that will be a common use case or occurrence for people that already have systems or already have stuff to, like, hey, we can easily convert you over to your system or the white label system. Hopefully that helped like clarify some stuff about how voice will be.
It definitely did.
Oh, sorry, Tim, what were you saying?
Perfect. No, I'm just saying I think we're coming up on 30 minutes. Does anyone else have anything? Tim, you've been quiet on this call. Do you have anything that you want to mention? Any key features, functionalities, bug fixes you need improved?
No, I did. I got a specific inquiry today for some companies which are based in the Middle East, and they're looking to not use ChatGPT, but want to use different models. So it would be cool to get a timeline on when you think that will be actually available. I've said in the coming months. So,
what models do they want to use? Do they know? Models do they want to use?
So they're looking at things like Grok or Claude or which is Anthropic, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Or Gemini. So just basically having different options. I think the whole nervousness in this with outside of the States is probably centers around sort of where does their data go. So, there are obviously they could do an on-premise solution and maybe through Azure, but again that would be ChatGPT, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we're close to wrapping up Anthropic and Grok, and those will both be available as like the default model, but also available as like a backup model. So, for example, if any of them go down, you'll have the ability to auto transfer over to one of the alternative models.
Yeah, I think just being able to have that selection would be amazing. Yeah.
Any mention of DeepSeek?
No. Again, the thing about DeepSeek is great, but there is some concern in terms of data again and where the data goes.
Yeah,
the ownership of the things that are built on DeepSeek if you're connecting with it directly. But if you want to download that and use that locally, then I think it's a really powerful model.
Can I ask one final question? A success story from anyone on the call? When you started out, did you focus on cold leads? Like any advice on that? Maybe from Tim Bennett?
Tim, do you want to go?
I started by pitching out to my existing client base.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's just an easier sell, and if we've already got ongoing retainer business with them, adding this service into the package was a much easier sell, and it was nice to bring something new to the table. having said that, some of them are still a little bit anti-AI in terms of understanding what it can actually do for their business. There's not a lot of good education out there. So one of the other things we've started to do now is build out AI training workshops, and then we'll include a chatbot solution as part of a demo. And once they see that, then it's a bit more of a wow factor. We've got them in the room, and if we're using their data as well, and we scrape their site as an example, then it's a big wow factor. But definitely, I would start with your people you know first, just to build out some sort of case studies and get some testimonials, and then from there, it's easier to go out and do the cold outreach.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm starting small, local, but eventually, I would like to do even just webinars, or even the recorded webinars, and do them very often, like weekly.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to having a funnel by GHL. So that's what I'm working on. I'm kind of walking instead of running, but I'm ready to run. All right, thanks, Tim.
That's smart though. Smart strategy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tim, for sharing. Cool. I think that we'll wrap up this week. Appreciate everyone for joining, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.
Thank you. This was great. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.